And friends, now we're going to go right into the silver lining, the ending of my show. I like to leave you with something inspirational, something from a perspective of somebody that is actually seeing God do miraculous things. And so joining me tonight is lead pastor at Fivefold Church in Los Angeles, Apostle Kathryn Krick. Kathryn, so honored to have you on the show tonight. I've been watching your rise on social media. I've been watching what God is doing through your life. And I just love having you on the show tonight. I'd like for you to just take a little bit, because I know that what happened in your life was kind of out of the box for you. You were, if I understand it, wanting to be a dancer. You were wanting to be in entertainment. You were in Los Angeles for those things. And then God just showed up and something shifted. What happened? What took place?
Yes. Well, I was a Christian my whole life. My earliest memory was age 4, giving my life to Jesus. But it wasn't until my mid-20s, when I was here in Los Angeles, out here pursuing acting and then singing, it was then that I encountered God's power for the first time. I saw miracles take place. It was like the Bible come alive, demons be cast out of people, the sick be healed. And I encountered the presence of God, the power of God for the first time tangibly. It's like I always believed that God was real and that he was loving. But once I encountered his power so tangibly, and honestly, my spiritual eyes opened up, that's when I had this knowing God is so good, so loving, of intimately me. And he's always been with me, and his plans for me are so good. And there was even more. I mean, my eyes just opened up to the fact that the enemy is really real too, and really is at work in people's lives. And that's a big reason why we see evil, why we see sometimes people are mean to you, do horrible things to you, and you can be like, what's their problem? They're so evil. And it can just take you to a dark place. It can cause you to have unforgiveness and hatred towards the person, when actually the enemy's behind it, and the person is actually in bondage. Many times they don't want to be doing the evil that they're doing, the bad things they're doing, but they have oppression. So my eyes open up to see that God is moving in power now, like we read about in the Bible, even though it's so rare, we don't see it much, but he truly is moving in this powerful way to bring deliverance and healing from all kinds of things, from addiction, depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts, mental illness, night terrors, sicknesses, the list goes on.
Yeah, it does. And one of my favorite books, recommended by my home church, Bethel in Redding, California. I was there for over 20 years. Is God's Generals. And in that book, you read about John G. Lake and Catherine Coleman and Amy Semple McPherson, some amazing generals of the faith that walked in the very miracles that you're talking about. But Kathryn, I got to tell you, now I'm seeing it happening through you. God is using you in such a powerful way. And when you just stand up to talk about God's goodness, demons manifest. Can you talk about that? Did you expect that when that started happening, and then you're casting them out? People are literally being delivered and set free, and then come back with testimonies months and even over a year or so later, and just saying, I'm totally free from all that I was striving with. Did you have any idea that God was going to do that in and through your life?
I had no clue. I was so shocked. Public speaking was my biggest fear and weakness. And even though I loved going to church and listening to sermons more than like anything at this point in my life, when I was in my mid-20s, I'm 34 now, I never wanted to be a preacher or a minister. And when my eyes opened up to see that God was using vessels in power, like how he did when we read the book of Acts, like Peter and Paul, I thought like God was using a handful of people like that. So I had no clue that God wanted to use me, glory to God, in his power. When I first had my eyes open up to God's power and love, I surrendered my whole life to him, including my dreams, my plan. I really wanted to be a singer. I have released music videos, singles, and it was going really well. And I was so excited about it. I really had faith in this dream. And then one day, a prophet, his name is Prophet Dr. Jordavi from Tanzania, East Africa, he prophesied to me when I went to a conference that I was called to be a minister, that I was called to be an apostle, which, if you don't know, it's like a pastor, but it's one of the different kinds of ministers that the Bible talks about. And he said that God was calling me to reach the nations, and he saw God doing many miracles through me. And when I heard that, I was shocked. Like, as I said, public speaking was my biggest fear and weakness. And then secondly, I'm like, I've only seen 1-2 people walk in miracles. So I was so shocked. But in this moment, God reminded me of Moses. There's a story in the Bible of how Moses, he had a stutter, and God called him to be a mouthpiece of him and to be a leader of millions of people. And he was like, Lord, how can I do this? I have a stutter. But God said, I made your mouth. I will give you the words to speak. Just believe, just obey. So I knew God was speaking that to me right there. And I also had faith that God would give me a heart.
I'm running out of time. Kathryn, I'm running out of time. I absolutely love what God's doing in your life. I'd love to have you back on again so we can do a little deeper dive. Would that work?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It would be my pleasure.
Right. Apostle Kathryn Krick. Make sure that you're following her on social media, friends. And that's all the time we have for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Please share this show with your family and friends. More people need to see this show. God bless you.